So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminsky Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Virgie's here, Virgie's here.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. We today are going to be talking about how to attract premium clients with your personal brand. And I have the best guest in the house with us today. And I am going to spare her me butchering her last name. So I'm going to call her.
Yes, Virgilia Virjoghe. Good morning, Henry. And I'm so excited to be on your podcast. You know how much I value not only your expertise, but also your beautiful personality. It's truly inspirational. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We connected on Instagram, actually Clubhouse first, then Instagram. And then we just started to build this awesome connection. We host rooms together on Clubhouse. We bring each other value each and every day on each other's platforms. And that's the beauty of Clubhouse, right? You're able to connect with other people that are like-minded and have the same passion as you in business and in personal life. And when I heard, her nickname's Vivi, so we're going to go Vivi going forward. When I heard Vivi's backstory and the expertise and knowledge and wisdom of the company she worked for and what she has done in her career is unbelievable. So I could talk about you all day long, but I'm going to pass the mic to you. Please give the audience an understanding of where you got your credibility, your expertise, and your understanding of personal branding and branding in general.
So, Henry, I have to give credit to two amazing countries that positioned me to be a brand myself. I was born in Romania. I studied in Germany, and New York City, United States, is my current home. So having, I would say, 4 languages to communicate in allowed me as a brand to intersect with people from different walks of lives and understand how emotionally connected I can be with someone when I greet them in their own language. And when I moved to the United States, my very first job was initially in consulting, and someone spotted me and said, "You have to work in fashion." I said, "What do I know about fashion? I was born in a communist country. I had no TV. We did not know much about fashion." And my very first job, Henry, with Versace truly changed my life because I had the chance to meet some of the most amazing people that I used to see them on TV, and they used to come to Versace, and I used to be able to communicate with them. And the day I met Donatella Versace, I understood what branding is and the impact that a personal brand has. When she walks into a room, people stop. Not because she's the tallest in the room, because there's something about her brand that makes you stop and stare and want to find out more about. And fast forward, 5 years later, I ended up on Facebook discovering Damon John from Shark Tank. And I said, how am I going to work with this guy? I have to work with this guy. So I wrote him an email on Facebook without big expectations. And 3 days later, I found myself in his office. And for 7 months, I was so fortunate to be in his office and learn from him every day. And Henry, the day when I understood what branding is, I walked into his office one day and I was wearing this beautiful Versace coat and a bag that I thought was cute from a brand that he was working with. And he looked at me and he said, "I like the coat, but what's up with the bag?" And I said, "I thought it was cute." He said, "It's not your brand." And that moment made me think differently. So he looked at me like the fashion, the high-end fashion girl, right? That wears Versace. So the brand, the bag was not doing justice to my brand. To this day, Henry, every time I step out, whether I'm on stage or go out with my friends, I think, is this my brand? So hence, even my coffee cup is pink because that's the color of my brand. But that's what I would say. The amazing people shaped me and molded me, right? And it just happens that they were celebrities when I first started my branding career, but I just truly understood what it takes to be a brand. You forge it, you start from zero, and you constantly build it, and you add the magic touch. You never stop. Branding a personal brand is not something that stops. It's something that consistently adds up. You constantly innovate your DNA, represent it differently. And then a few years later, I ended up working with Dolce & Gabbana for 5 years. I would say I learned the fundamentals of branding there, right there, because I was so passionate about tweeting, and I found myself communicating with Mr. Gabbana on Twitter because of one picture that I posted that resonated with him, obviously about a Dolce & Gabbana product. And that moment, Henry, made me think, every piece of content I put out there, it's branding. If it's just one sentence, one picture, you never know who's going to see it. People are not going to follow you 24/7 to see, oh, this girl or this guy is amazing. You have one shot. Most of the times, make it impactful, make it stand out, and the tagline of my brand is be bold, be unforgettable with everything. And Henry, we know very well when I go to your Instagram, even if you just post a picture of you and your child, it's your personality there. It's your brand. We already know Henry has this sense of humor, passion for his family. That's part of your brand, and it's out there. And if I just see one photo of you on Instagram, I'm going to think, this guy really loves his family. That's his core value. That's his brand. So don't ever underestimate, right, the power of that sentence, that picture. One time only. You have one shot sometimes. And 5 years within, working with Dolce & Gabbana, Henry, I had such an amazing experience just working with the people in corporate office, traveling to Milano, to the market, understand what it takes to build a brand, not only it's in inception form, because Dolce was already very successful when I landed there. But just day by day, you have to add value. You can lose your customer with one ad that is not good, even though you've been in the industry for 30 years. It's so important to constantly reinvent and also bring amazing people to your brand. Build people that help you to propel the brand to the next stage. Like in millennials, for instance, right? Millennials might not know as much about Dolce & Gabbana as our generation knows. Nurture that relationship. That's part of your branding. Consistently expand your client base. Don't underestimate one niche market or another. And the last few years, Henry, I tapped into consulting, brand strategy consulting. Why? Because my heart felt so full of passion. I said, I want to be more than just the person that represents one brand. I want to be the person that connects brands. And I ended up in Silicon Valley working with tech companies and helping them to merge strategic partnerships with beauty and high-end retailers. And Henry, when I learned the power of branding and the power of your word as a brand is when we were preparing with this particular tech company in Silicon Valley, a proposal for Estée Lauder. And I realized at the time that the verbiage that was in the proposal was very well known to people working in tech. But immediately I thought, if we go with this proposal to such a high-end beauty company, they will not relate and understand what we are trying to give to them. I completely rebranded the verbiage because I put myself in the shoes of the consumer or potential client. You, as a brand, yes, your DNA is important, your fundamentals, but you always have to repackage it depending where you present your brand. And that's something that you do on your Instagram, for instance. You have different audiences and you have content that is very specific for different audiences because Henry's customer base can be the 20 years old entrepreneur and can be the 70 years old entrepreneur. And you understand and leverage that. So I would say my greatest passion right now as a brand strategist consultant is to constantly reinvent the content and allow audiences to come in and feel welcomed. They belong. Give a sense of belonging to people. Don't make them feel excluded. And as you know, Henry, personal branding is my great passion. I truly believe that every company out there, every brand should have the face of the brand, which is the leader, the founder, truly empowering themselves and getting out there. Because people these days, they buy into a belief system. They no longer buy just the product. The product is the instant gratification, but the long-term value is the relationship. you build between your brand and your consumer. And the face of the brand should definitely be, the founder or the CEO. Look at Sarah Blake from Spanx. I'm in love with her personality. I'm in love with her story. She is a storyteller. You are a storyteller. People want to see who's behind your brand. It's Henry, it's the brand doctor, it's all his core values. And that's how people stay in the room. I would say the branding initially gets us in the room, but the consistent marketing and the consistent relationship that we build with consumers, that keeps us in the room, so to speak. So let's stay in the room as much as possible.
I love it. Okay, so this is awesome. So the reason why I have you here is because you have experienced a lot of premium clientele, right? The higher level, the high net worth, ultra net worth types of folks throughout your career. So I want to leverage this episode to get into the minds of those folks to share how you can position your personal brand to align and attract these types of clients. So we're going to dive deep right after this quick little message. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. So before we jump into this deep, I just want to give a shout out to one of our live listeners, Joshua Easter. He loved what you said, Vivi. Love that repackaging for your consumer audiences and potential client. Use the right jargon for the right audience. It's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. And I gotta love Joshua. He comes on these podcasts and live streams every single time and he pulls out these nuggets. So we'll be featuring him throughout the show for sure, because he knows how to pull out the one-liners and the zingers awesomely. So let's talk about how a personal brand needs to be positioned to attract a premium client that's willing and able to spend money. So what is that what is that client looking for in a service provider or a coach or a consultant or an influencer of any type?
So as your video say, the promotional video, the value that you deliver, right? You can never underestimate what's in it for the consumer. Most of the brands out there, they put, this is who we are, that's what we stand for. The consumer doesn't care for that. The consumer cares, what's in it for me? How am I going to get help, right? And I would say the best way to connect with your high-level consumer and potential client is your personal brand, your content strategy, the way you represent yourself, the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you dress, the way you offer value, your empathy, your ability to truly translate the message. And the perfect example, Henry, when I connected with you, you could have very easily disregarded my DM. I asked you to come to my IG live. I only have 8,000 followers on Instagram. You have 160,000 followers. You said yes because I package my message in a way that a high-level client, let's say you're not client, but right, you came to my interview because you saw value there. And maybe when you went to my Instagram, the way I package my personal brand, it's not about how many followers we have, it's how impactful we are, right? And impactful, how we create impact in order to attract high-level clientele. Our photo, our pitch, that small bio in your Instagram or on your LinkedIn, please invest time in those first 60 seconds. That's the emotional, that's how people connect with you. If a high-level executive like yourself, right, reads that and say, wow, it's something for me here. If it's not, you will have probably bypassed my DM because I'm sure you get tons of DMs every day. So the best way I would say to connect with high-level clients, package yourself in a way that you are high-level yourself. The content creation that you provide should speak volumes about you understanding the high-level consumer you are trying to attract. And this is very important here because we know right now, Henry, we are on Clubhouse, we are on Instagram, everybody's DMing. How are you going to personalize and offer that element of the most powerful woman or the most powerful man in the room is you. When you walk into a room via your DM or via your email, make sure that right there it speaks volumes about not only the value you provide, your presence, right? It's very important. I believe people underestimate their the idea of how to connect with high-profile individuals. They are looking for value. Mm-hmm. They are looking for you to even enlarge their audiences even further, but they are looking for you to be the brand ambassador as well. This is something, when we work with the client, we become the brand ambassador for that client as well. If they involve us in their projects, when somebody is tapping to our profiles or to our website, they should see the value right there. And I would say our personal brand impacts very much the relationships we build. And we see this on Clubhouse a lot, Henry. I recently joined Clubhouse only, I think, about 3 weeks ago. And I found myself in big rooms talking with some, entrepreneurs that have like 100,000 followers. Why? Because my photos speak volume about the way I present myself. When I spoke, I only took a minute and a half. And I made sure that I identify precisely how I can add value to their panel. This is very important. Also, Henry, in order to attract high-level clientele, do as much research as you can about that company. If that company just happened to have landed a deal yesterday, when you are going to DM or try to initiate a conversation, make sure you point that out. Make sure they know you know as much as possible about their brand. They will trust you. Right now, we have a second element that comes into the mix. As I was saying, your presence, the way you speak, opens the door to this high level. The trust that you build is the fact that they understand this person values my company, values my mission statement, values my product. Okay, we are already having the foundation set for them to come into the mix. And third, you have to be very specific. I feel I'm getting so many DMs, Henry, and they say, hey, I heard you speak on Clubhouse. Hey, Virgilia, I heard you speak on Clubhouse about storytelling. I would very much love to hear more about this specific. I'm a little bit insecure about getting my story out there. Could you please elaborate? That moment, they got my attention, right? Also, when it comes to attracting high profile, be innovative, right? Don't just send a random DM. Send a nice video. Say, hi, I'm Virgilia Virjoghe. I'm absolutely in love with your brand. And I have this gold nugget that I want to add to you. I noticed you posted this on Instagram. This is how I would see it to attract, let's say, more, millennial customers. Right there, in 60 seconds, you capture their attention. They think, oh, she noticed something I did not pay attention to, or he, right? Be very specific with the value you offer. High-profile individuals and companies, they get tons of DMs. If you just say, hi, I'm such and such, I would love to work with you, big deal. But if you send a coffee cup with a pink and you say, I love branding and I noticed that on your Instagram, there are many colors. What's the color of your brand? Would love to offer you a video that capitalizes specifically on that detail. That moment, you got their attention, right? And the first element you have to think of, how am I going to get in a room? And then how am I going to stay in the room? Again, the approach will get us in the room. The value that we provide and how specific we are will make us stay in the room. So I hope this answered, and please let me know if I should elaborate further.
No, this is fantastic. I mean, Joshua is pointing out these highlights. Look, package yourself in a way that you are high level yourself. He says, do as much, like you mentioned before, do as much research as possible and show the potential client that you value them. Be specific in value you offer in your messages. Be innovative and capture the attention. These are all powerful, powerful things. Now, let's talk about aesthetic for a second. All right. Let's talk about image, because I think it's very, very important. There's nothing that drives me mad than to see somebody's LinkedIn photo or photo on any social platform be like 15 years outdated, where they look like they're like 42 in their picture. And then when you get on a Zoom call, they're like 78 years old. Like they look like they're 78. They might not be 78. But for me, that is a huge disconnect for me. It makes me feel, and I'm just speaking for myself, it makes me feel like, well, what is this person hiding? Why haven't they updated their photo? Why is it a photo from 15 years ago? Because you can clearly see how bad they aged, or how they aged. I shouldn't say how bad they aged. That's mean. But there's a disconnect there for me. Same thing when I hit their website and it looks super outdated. Or if I go to their Instagram account and they're using poor image quality, or it looks like a complete mess. Somebody in the ClickFunnels Facebook group said something, asked the question, does design really matter when it comes to building a funnel? And I said, it sure does, because if I go to a funnel and it feels like a funnel, I'm out, because there's too many people selling bullshit and cheap products that don't move the needle. And that clearly tells me you did not put in the time, money, and effort into your brand. Well, you clearly didn't put the time, money, and effort into your product or service. I'm out. I'll go find somebody else that is a little bit, that looks the part, charges the part. I don't mind paying more. I want to pay more, but I want a result, and I want something that I'm proud to say, hey, I use these guys or these gals. Look at their brand, right? Look at who they've worked with, right? Look at the energy and time and money they poured into their own business. That builds up trust. That builds authority. That builds credibility. So when I hear people say, oh, my junkiest funnel has made me the most money. Okay, sure. But what does it say about you and your business to the layman person, or the person that doesn't know who you are? Right? Guys like me that are looking for a premium, we're blowing right past you. And we will pay 10 times more money because we want to feel confident in our purchase. So talk about your personal brand's image and how that plays a huge role in attracting premium clients.
So I would say personalize, as you say, it's very important to personalize our approach. But ultimately, as I was saying, the way you present yourself, the colors that you are using in your photo, for instance. Henry, the first thing that people see when they click on our profiles, they see our photo, right? So we can never underestimate the power of our image. And that being said, you don't have to be a big fashion icon to make an impression. But what you have to do, you have to create the best version of yourself. Make sure that people see in that photo. If you are a very a vibrant person, put that gorgeous smile. That's part of your brand. That's how people are going to be able to identify you from the crowd. And yes, indeed, when it comes to photo, that's the first impression. First thing that people see. Make sure you create a beautiful photo. I still see people on LinkedIn, Henry, with sunwear on, or they have pictures with their significant other in a LinkedIn. I love family. I grew up in a beautiful family, but my family belongs in my stories on my Instagram. On LinkedIn, people want to connect with a professional person, right, that you are. Make sure that represents you, the way you dress in that photo, the way your hair is styled. That's who they are going to work with. That's the first impression. Secondly, that tagline, the pitch on LinkedIn, make sure that you offer the value, articulate precisely the value right there. And secondly, and third, the way you approach people. Henry, on LinkedIn, I get automated messages every day, maybe 20, 30. Hey, have you thought about publishing a book? I'm like, if you would have read my profile, you would know by now that I actually published a book. Why would you engage and waste this automated system to ask me if you can help me to publish a book when I already did, right? This is, as you say, these terrible sales funnels, all they do, maybe people invest money in it. If it's not personalized, if it's not customized to my needs, I'm already going to block you or mute you. I've never thought, Henry, that I will block people on LinkedIn. I mean, how sad. We got to the point because people hire branding agencies that don't know what they are doing. When they come to you, Henry, you are going to customize, personalize their message. You are not going to say, oh, here is another customer. Let's throw in there the same message, the same type of video because it's going to work. Somebody's going to buy it. How impactful is that going to be? How personalized? How it's going to create that emotional connection with your audiences? If the brand has a sense of humor, Henry is going to customize that and put that package. That's why we go to the brand doctor and we don't go randomly to just a branding agency because we got a good package. And let's hope that somehow the client is going to be impressed by something that doesn't even speak to them, speaks to a random audience. Don't speak to random audiences. Specifically customize every content you put out there, every ad to your consumers' needs. It's very important.
Look at that.
So, and then of course you do it beautifully, right? You engage the personal brand within the content as well. And that's very important. So personalize, customize, be specific, and ensure that every detail about your personal brand is squeezed in there. So people see, oh, wow, if I'm a fashion person, I want to connect with that. So that's my take on it.
No, I think it's fantastic. And there was a question on Clubhouse the other day about how much do I put of my personal life versus business, and should I have a separate account, and so on and so forth. And what I told the person was, you have to lean in and show the 360 view of you as a person. So you don't have to put, intimate moments on Instagram. Like you'll see on my account on Instagram specifically, maybe every 5 posts, there'll be a picture of my family or my son and I, or my wife and I. But it's 1 in every 5 posts, right? Because I want you guys to kind of see the well-roundedness of who Henry Kaminsky is. Because if it's all business or all personal, people are going to be like, what does this person do for a living? Is it like, now they're scratching their head. So to show that well-roundedness is very, very important. So make sure that you're sprinkling that stuff in. And to your points before, they're brilliant. Speak to their needs and wants. You want those folks that are checking you out saying, these people or this person gets me. And that's powerful. When you can articulate the problems and pains that they're experiencing better than they can explain them to you, you got them as a client. That's the power of personal branding and really understanding your audience. That's why we do these live streams. That's why we do the podcast in the Clubhouse rooms, is because, at least me personally, and Vivi's all in on this as well, because of the amount of time she spends on these platforms, is we're constantly trying to continue to understand our audiences. Why? Because our audiences change every single day. So we need to stay relevant. We need to make sure that we're understanding them every step of the way. That's why it's so important to consider a rebrand process, especially if you're going to start changing products and offerings and services to stay relevant to your clients, and to stay present, right? Because if I look at a website, or come to somebody that just looks outdated, and my values are innovation and staying above trend and ahead of trend, then you're not going to be a good fit. Now, you may have the perfect solution for me, but the way you're presented online doesn't reflect that. And that's where I come in. That's where I get so passionate about this stuff, because there's so many people out there that have amazing solutions to their clients' problems, but they're not positioned properly, specifically from a personal branding standpoint, and they're losing thousands, if not millions of dollars a year in revenue.
They do. The emotional connection is what gets us to work with people. We work with people we love and we like, right? We will always choose, like, how many times, Henry, I reach out to you on DM and I say, Henry, I'm in this room, come. Why? When I see your name, Henry Kaminsky, on top on Clubhouse that you pinged me, I'm running there because I already know it's going to be value right there. But I believe, Henry, the emotional connection between brands and consumers is something that it's not capitalized on. A lot of brands are thinking, me, that's my brand, that's my DNA, that's my product. It's not about that. People buy, and I believe I said it earlier, into a belief system. People want to be part of your community, right? The loyal consumer doesn't want to be sold today. They want to feel like they belong, right? You create a sense of belonging and also the storytelling. I mean, Henry, you are a storyteller. And that's why when I go to your Instagram, I want to see pictures of your family. That creates trust with me because I'm like, this person is more than just their business. This person understands if I'm selling a product for kids, I can go to Henry because he has a child and he will know how to market my product. If I'm a woman in my, 30s and I want a skincare line to be represented, I notice that Henry's wife is in her 30s. He understands that consumer, right? So the reason we create this personalized approach and we bring our stories into our brand is because that's how people connect with us. We are not just our job and our expertise. We are our humanity. We are our empathy, our kindness, and we are our story. Because there's a powerful story inside each of us waiting to be told, and that's going to connect us with audiences in an unforgettable way.
Well, that is fantastic. So Joshua has a question, and I invite other people that are watching live to ask questions. You could drop them in the comments, and we'll feature you as a live audience member and get Vivi to answer your question. So Joshua has a great question here. He talks about, how do you not look scattered when you are multi-passionate and involved in several different fields? That's a great question. How would you approach that?
So I would ask, let's say, the person, what's your expertise and what are your talents, right? Because sometimes I believe people when they say, I'm doing so many things. Okay, but your expertise is, let's say, fashion, branding, and personal branding. That should take up like most of your presentation on your social media platforms. Your talents and everything else that comes into the mix could be just a small line out there and some content here and there identifying and illustrating that. You always have to, I always tell my clients, capitalize on 3 core elements that you want people to know you for, right? Like, for instance, Henry, I used to record music professionally at Wyclef Jean Studio. And right now I found myself on Clubhouse singing in different rooms with Bumani. I did not put that on my Instagram yet until the moment I'm writing a song with one of these guys. At that moment, I can come to my Instagram or my LinkedIn and say, guys, I have some exciting news to share. Now that talent becomes more of an expertise because right now I have something to prove. I back up with credibility, right? The credibility factor, expertise and credibility, this is how you package first. Talents, hobbies, they maybe make up to 20% of our content creation, and they could be just a small line or on Instagram. But we have to be very specific because when you connect with audiences, you want them to remember you. And if you bring too many things into the equation, you are not memorable, right? If I'm the girl with pink, I'm going to make sure that pink is as much on my platform as possible. And people are they might not remember my name, but it's like, it's the girl with the pink background. Right?
Correct.
So I believe it's very important to pick those 3 core elements and repetition. Right, Henry? How important it is the way we see paid ads, they keep repeating over and over again the same, because if you repeat, people will start remembering. It's the same core elements that come over and over again in a paid ad. And you see it once, you might not remember it. You see it 2-3 times, now it's becoming memorable.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I answer the question.
No, that is fantastic. We're getting a little bit of a rough signal here on our live stream.
I'm not able to hear you.
Okay. We got to wait until the stream comes back.
I'm not able to hear you, Henry.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting a really rough signal, so we're gonna sort of wrap this up. But I just wanted to share a couple more comments before we get going. There's some good questions here, so I'm gonna wrestle through this. Another live listener says, Bob Bonio, how important is it to have all socials align on your personal brand story? Is it problematic if one of your social channels isn't focused on your brand, but is instead more personal or creative?
Actually, I feel very passionate about this topic. So you have to identify each social media platform has a different purpose. For LinkedIn, you want to showcase expertise. right? So 80% of your content on LinkedIn is going to showcase your knowledge, your expertise, your credibility. The 20% here and there, you can post something, oh, great conversation on Clubhouse on the power of identity, which might be not necessarily a core element of your expertise, but it's something you feel passionate about. Because this way you show you are a well-rounded individuals. On Instagram, on your feed, if you are a professional, 80% of the content will be related to your credibility and your expertise. In your stories, you are going to showcase your personality more, right? So you leverage, I would say you work with the content depending on the platform you're on. In your reels, for instance, Harry, if I post reels on the weekend, I post reels that are funny. During the week, I post reels that are offering value to my potential customer, right? So you always have to play around with the content and be mindful what avenue you are using. On Clubhouse, it's expertise. You only have 1.5 minutes to chime in, make it impactful. Make sure people know right there, oh, this person can help me with ABC, right? So depending, you kind of have to leverage platforms depending where you are. So I would say it's just a consistent paying attention, but be mindful about LinkedIn being credibility expertise, Clubhouse expertise in only 1.5 minutes, and Instagram can be the creative outlet where you can showcase more of who you are as a personal brand. I hope this helps.
It is. But Vivi, you can see the comments, right, underneath when I post them? Okay, cool. Because Bob's saying this is fantastic insight, how to use the different modes of social expression. Yeah, to Vivi's point, being native to the platform and making sure that your content is in context with that is huge. And she gave you some really great examples. Like you could get more personal in your stories, right? LinkedIn is more professional. Facebook is a little bit more personal, perhaps. Remember this, folks, when premium clients are going to hire you and pay you a premium price, you bet your ass they're going to go to different platforms on social and check you out. And also Google you. What's showing up? What is showing up for them? Very, very important to take into consideration. There was a
Henry, right? As well, the same photo you have on LinkedIn and Clubhouse and Instagram, because people are going, if they keep seeing you, they will know, they will create a connection. So be consistent with your picture profile as well. And
I recommend people getting photo shoots done maybe every year, if not more frequent. I used to go once a quarter, a little too crazy, but I'm a personal brand guy, so I'm going to always do it to the extreme, right? But every year or every half a year, highly recommend, especially if you want to really position yourself as a personal brand and really put your best foot forward. Highly recommend. And if you're on the East Coast, or in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, I will put you in touch with my photographer who I've been using for the past 5 years, and he's just absolutely stunning at what he does. But yeah, being consistent with the quality and the way that you're looking online is so, so important. And you answered Bob's question beautifully. So I have 3 questions here left, but I'm going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to ask you one question to sort of wrap this up, and we'll start to wrap this up. So the question is, what are you currently curious about?
My greatest passion in life is people. And if I can highlight greatness in people as often as I can, whether if I give a shout out on my DM, on my Instagram, or I give a compliment on Clubhouse, that fills my heart with joy. I believe I'm in love with every person I meet. I don't see people what they are. I see their full potential. And it's important to highlight that, because sometimes people don't realize how amazing they are. Sometimes you have to point that out. And I would say that's my greatest passion, just to highlight greatness and empower people to see how their greatness and the fact that they can be the best version of themselves with just a little bit of tweaks here and there.
So you're curious about their greatness.
Yes.
I love it. Vivi, I could talk to you for another 3 hours, easy. but I got to prep for another call. That's coming up in 15 minutes. So before we wrap up, guys, I'm getting all excited over here. Before we wrap up, Vivi, let everybody know where they can learn more about you and where they can follow your journey starting today.
So thank you so much. And it's been such a pleasure, Henry. You know how much I look up to you. I look at you as being my mentor as well, because you have so much expertise in the field. But I look at your humanity, your empathy, and your kindness. And that's how I define you. And thank you for offering both and bringing both into my world. So they can find me on LinkedIn, Virgilia Virjoghe. They can find me on Instagram under the same name, Virgilia Virjoghe, and on Clubhouse, because they don't allow all the characters and my name is very long, it's only Virgilia.v.
I love it. I love it. So we'll have this obviously in the title of the podcast and in the show notes and stuff like that. So we'll get you, it's a click of a button, you'll get right to her account. So rest assured that we'll get you instant access to Vivi, once this drops on on iTunes and Spotify, and now we're on Pandora. So for those folks that want to go to Pandora, type in the Brand Doctor. We show up now. We just got approved on Monday, which was second week of February. So that is awesome. I really appreciate the live listeners. For those folks that want to join us live on this podcast, all you have to do is go to Facebook and type in the Brand Doctors Hangout, and we go live inside of this group every day, pretty much. So if you want to interact with my guests, because we're going to have some big guests on in the future, and really create a dialogue and get access to us while we record the episode live, I highly recommend you go to Facebook, just type in the Brand Doctors Hangout, and you'll also see it. It's the name of the group is called Industry Experts That Want to Scale from 6 Figures to 7 Figures and Beyond. So you know you're in the right place. And you'll get to meet 780 something other people that are in the group now, which is growing rapidly. So I'm excited to learn and build with you guys inside of that group. So highly recommend you go check that out. And don't forget, guys, if you love this show, feel free to share it out and to somebody that's going to get value out of it. And I appreciate you, and go write a review, good or bad. I'm always trying to be better than I was yesterday. And I can't do that without feedback from all of you. So I love all of you guys, and have an amazing day. And I will catch you on the next one real soon.
Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminsky Jr. again. And really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision-crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one consult call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.